Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, thinking of all of those that have been impacted and will be impacted by Hurricane Beryl. This will eventually move into the Gulf, but I want to zoom down here in a second, get into the winds. It's about to make landfall near Cozumel. Winds right now about 100 to 110 miles per hour, or anywhere from about 150 to 175 kilometers an hour. It is moving to the west-northwest a little slower. That means some higher rain totals. West-northwest at 15 miles per hour. That's about 24 kilometers an hour. And I want to get into the kind of expanse of how wide the wind field is, tropical storm and hurricane conditions. But you can see some of the worst weather moving in right now to parts of Mexico over toward the Yucatan Peninsula. I'll zoom down, and then eventually this will move into the Gulf of Mexico, where it should re-strengthen again. It is going to lose some steam as it crosses land. Water's its fuel source, so it's about to lose that, but then it should pick up once again. And this blob out here, this here is the first on the eastern Pacific side, first system of the season. That is Aleta. No threat on that, but I'll show you that in a moment. Now, here's what's going on. We have Beryl, a hurricane working its way inland, and we'll have that landfall very soon. This disturbance here, Puerto Rico near the Dominican Republic, getting closer to Jamaica. It's a tropical disturbance, but not seeing any signs of organization. But I want to get into where some of that rain is going. We'll break that down. But as we get out here, this is kind of what I'm watching next over here. Here's the coast of Africa. This right here is the next tropical wave. No signs of organization out of that, but I'll be watching that for the week ahead to see if it does try to spin up or anything like that once we get into the week ahead. So trying to watch everything. But let me zoom down here to get very specific, because the immediate concern is what's going on from Cozumel back toward Merida, for example. So you could kind of get a feel of some of the winds that we can expect. Now, near Cozumel, where we're going to have that landfall, winds will be near 90 miles per hour or 145 kilometers an hour. To the north, Cancun, for example, in and around Cancun, tropical storm conditions. The hurricane conditions would be to the south. So Cancun, we could have some sustained winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour or 110 kilometers an hour with some higher gusts. Now, as this starts to work across, it is going to be weakening further because it's going to be moving over land. So Merida, for example, tropical storm conditions, not hurricane conditions, winds right around 60 miles per hour later today or 95 kilometers an hour. And then you get to the south, Campeche, the worst weather staying to the north and, of course, off to the east. Winds would be around 40 miles per hour or 65 kilometers an hour. So I wanted to break that down for you so you know what to expect. Of course, the coastal flooding will have that surge moving in, and I'll get into those rain totals. Since this has slowed, the rain totals are going to be a little higher. Now, this will become a tropical storm later today as it does weaken, and then it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, and then it should re-strengthen. And as I was showing you yesterday, more of that turned to the northwest and even north. It is now more likely that this makes an additional landfall in Texas versus northeast Mexico. Everything, as I was showing you yesterday, is trending more and more to the north, and I'll show you why in a moment. Now, here's that orange shading clipping by even over toward Cancun. Those are tropical storm winds. The tropical storm winds extend 105 miles out from the center or 145 kilometers out from the center. A smaller pocket of hurricane conditions. The hurricane winds are about 30 miles from the center, excuse me, or 45 kilometers from the center. So that's the breakdown in the wind field, and later today we'll lose those hurricane winds, and then we'll watch this as a tropical storm re-emerging back to the west. Here is Aleta. Here's the coast of Mexico. This is on the other side, the eastern Pacific side, because you may have been hearing about this. I like to show you where there are no threats. Aleta is weakening, moving away. Here's the Baja. This is staying out to sea. No threat on the eastern Pacific side. That has been historically quiet, which is what you get in a La Nina season. Sometimes quiet on one side, very active like we have on the Atlantic basin side. high. Models in the short term in good agreement, and then it gets tricky down the road, all though in good agreement of showing that turn. The coastline here from South Texas back toward parts of northeast Mexico runs north to south. So as this takes its turn, it's going to be very tricky where that landfall point will be. Could be anywhere from Brownsville, and then you can see it could even be in the south central sections of our coast in parts of Texas, lifting up to the north after that. I'll show you that with the American and the European models. So here's the breakdown. Now, once this moves across our friends near Cozumel, swings back toward Merida, and then works its way into the Gulf, it will be a tropical storm at least initially, but all the models showing this becoming a hurricane again because of those warm water temperatures. The European model, the American, the Canadian, the German Icon model. By the way, you may be saying, why are we talking about a European model in this part of the world? These are computers. They're different, just like you may have a different computer. So they kind of give different output, but they forecast, they put out the output globally. So that's why they're very good, very reliable for the most part. But I watch other things because you know those models can be off, but they cover the entire world, and that's why those are used. The European model, a little bit more to the south. The American model, more of a landfall to the north, but both have been shifting. I watch those trends more and more to the north. Now, these are those crazy models. There'll be that weakening today, and then you get a little bump up in a couple days to either strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane. Intensity is the hardest thing to forecast, as you've been seeing with this system. The track is much easier, but you could see here kind of a bump up again with some of the strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, here is that American model. Merida, this is later today by 5 o'clock, tropical storm conditions, and then this will work its way off toward the west, Bay of Campeche over toward the western Gulf. There's been a few systems out there, Alberto, Chris, so the water temperatures have gone down a notch, but not nearly enough, so the water is very warm. This is as we work our way into our Saturday evening. At this point tomorrow, it should still be a tropical storm. Really hope it is. I hope it's not a hurricane quickly again, but it should be a tropical storm tomorrow, but feeding off some of the warm water, and we'll see how much it strengthens. And then the American model brings in some tropical storm conditions along the south coast of Texas into northeast Mexico by Sunday. This is Sunday afternoon, but the center would still be offshore. The longer it stays offshore over the warmer water, the better chance it has to get organized. And then the American model shows more of a turn to the northwest and even north, lifting this up with a landfall and then eventually bringing some of the rain up toward the Houston and even Beaumont area by the time we get into later in the day on Monday. But the trends have been more of that curve that I was showing you in yesterday's video. Now here's the wind field. The wind field, we're going to lose the core of hurricane winds today. But actually, as storms weaken, you lose the core, which is a good thing, but the wind field actually expands. It's actually going to be wider. So of those tropical storm conditions, even trying to clip Campeche, but more so just to the north as I was breaking down that wind map for you. Then this is by tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock on our Saturday, re-emerging back into the western Gulf of Mexico. That's where it should get better organized. Intensity is so tricky. That's why I try to dive into everything else. Now, it should re-strengthen into a hurricane. With that said, this doesn't look like what we had days ago for our friends over toward Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. It is a different form. This is days after. Then you see here the expansive wind field. That means by Sunday, you see those tropical storm conditions just kind of moving in. But there's the center of it. That's really why I wanted to show you this map. So the center there, longer it stays offshore, the more it has of strengthening. And the American model by Sunday evening still has this sitting just offshore of South Texas, this here by Sunday evening, and then eventually trying to almost work to the north if it stays over the water, and then we get that landfall by the time we get into early on Monday, and then it moves in. And once it moves into Texas, there will be that weakening. So slightly better news for the northeastern portions of Mexico, worse news long-term for parts of Texas. Now, here's that European model. Watching this, there's some of the rain out here. This is that tropical disturbance near the DR, Haiti, moving toward Jamaica, but this pulling away from the Yucatan Peninsula, pulling away from Campeche today, and you can see it here. This is the European model showing us tomorrow that this should go from a tropical storm and then eventually into a hurricane tomorrow night and Sunday. Now, high pressure, that's a blocker. The Bermuda high That's moved off toward the east. That's why this system didn't move to the north up toward the Bahamas. These take a path of least resistance. Right now, the least resistance is over here. They all like to kind of swing to the north if they can. And then you see here with this front here in the area of high pressure away, the blocker, that allows it to make more of that northwesterly turn. This here is by the time we get into Sunday. Sunday still offshore, and the European model has this at this point as a strengthening hurricane right here. Elsewhere, not seeing development, just some increased rain in parts of the Western Caribbean behind this. And then by the time we get it, and you see how this is more north. Yesterday, this was more to the south. We get that landfall into Texas on Monday. That is what the European model is showing. There's that area of high pressure well off toward the east, allowing this to make the turn. So landfalling hurricane more likely in Texas on Monday. Landfall spot's going to be tricky because of the north-south orientation of the coast. Now, I mentioned Alberto, Tropical Storm Chris, which briefly formed. I don't even know if anyone knows about that. I did mention that on the channel. That formed days ago and just kind of went inland quick. But that cooled the water, relatively speaking. But look at these water temperatures. Still 29 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit. You get just off the coast of Texas, we're talking about 30, 31 degrees Celsius. So we're talking about even some upper 80s, close to 90 degrees in spots. So the longer this stays off the coast, the more trouble, obviously, that is going to cause. Now, there is some wind shear, this kind of redder shading in here. Wind shear is good. That knocks the thunderstorm tops off of hurricanes and tropical systems. But it's been a battle between the wind shear, which is our friend, and the water temperatures. And as we've seen with this, the water temperatures have simply been winning out. And that's why I do believe this does re-strengthen again into a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, here it is, again, moving across, leaving Merida late today. Tropical storm conditions will be moving in and for the good portion of the day. And then this here from Puerto Rico, stretching back toward Haiti, the DR, even Jamaica. Not all day rain, but we're going to see a better chance of scattered showers and storms. That's with the next tropical disturbance, but it is not organized. St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, where we're doing basically, we're all thinking of you. Mainly on the dry side. Trinidad and Tobago, we are on the hot side. This is by our Saturday, watching Beryl making its move. See the rain chance a little bit higher as we work our way in through the weekend. And then on Sunday, Western Caribbean. Now, I do also want to mention, as this tropical disturbance behind Beryl works its way toward Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, even parts of western Panama, we're going to see some heavier rain in parts of Central America that will lead to some flooding. I'll show you those rain totals in a moment. Now, thank you to my boaters, mariners, captains out there that are putting great information in the comments section. I've been watching that, just watching this. This is by tomorrow, and you see those wave heights, obviously on the high dangerous side, almost goes without saying in the Western Gulf, but a little uptick here with this tropical disturbance central and Western Caribbean. This here is by Sunday. Seas not as bad in the Atlantic waters of the Bahamas by the time we get into Monday. This here is Monday, and then watching to see where Beryl makes its final landfall. There's that swath of rain with it. See those brighter colors showing up, some of the black, even some of the red that's off of my chart. Those are some rain totals of 150 millimeters or 6 inches of rain or higher, and that's what we're going to see with the landfall of this as it moves in. Get back toward Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba not as much, Jamaica. This here would be scattered showers and storms with that tropical disturbance, 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. These are 3-day rain totals. But as I was showing you a moment ago, Guatemala, El Salvador, inland western areas of Honduras, Nicaragua, very high rain totals, even some life-threatening flooding. We could see some landslides. This is not with Beryl, but we're going to see this next tropical disturbance moving in. We're going to see some rain totals of 150 millimeters to 200 millimeters of rain, 6 to about 9 inches of some rain for 3-day totals. ABC Islands, we are way too dry. And I showed you Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe. We need some rain, but not much. Dominica down through Trinidad, the rain chance stays minimal. That means some very minimal totals. But Jamaica, scattered rain and storms, not all day as we continue with those cleanup efforts. We swing back toward the Cayman Islands. Rain chance will bump up. Could even have a few morning showers on Sunday as you head out to church. That's the tropical disturbance moving in. Sunday, you see the rain chance a little bit higher. Trinidad and Tobago, not a washout, but a couple more shower storms. Same thing in Barbados the next couple days. Our south coast got hit so hard with Beryl. Those cleanup efforts ongoing, and of course, St. Lucia, generally the same pattern. Rain chance about 20 to 30% for today. 20 to 30% in Grenada. I hope you've been seeing some of the comments. Everyone is thinking about you on this weather community, and the same thing goes for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All right, rain chance 30 to 40% in Martinique, a little bit higher on Sunday. 20 to 30% chance in Dominica. The rain chance is not super high. 30 to 40% chance passing shower storm in Guadeloupe. 20 to 30% chance Antigua and Barbuda. 20 to 30% chance St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat, and this means mainly dry. These rain chances are very low, a higher probability of being dry in Anguilla and St. Bart's, 20-30% chance St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Rain chance through the weekend. Puerto Rico, not too high. Isolated shower storm. Better chance for today. Better chance U.S. and British Virgin Islands today, and then mainly dry as we go throughout the weekend. Next couple days in the Bahamas, mainly dry conditions, 20 to 30% the next few days. Turks and Caicos going right through the weekend. Now, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, best chance of rain on the south side. That's where we could see some isolated areas of flooding. If you don't get rain, we are going to be hot. 40% chance in Belize. Again, Belize, the weather from Beryl is staying to the north. As I've been talking about, it's a high anxiety time. I like to tell you where storms are going, but also where they are not going. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, once again, generally on the dry side. Rain chance stays small. We'll start to pick up some through the weekend in Guyana and Suriname, not all day, but the rain chance will be getting higher. We work our way back through Cuba, isolated showers and thunderstorms around the next couple of days. Costa Rica and Panama, rain chance getting higher. Panama, not as much to the east, more to the west, and especially as we get toward Costa Rica, rain chance will be getting higher. Nicaragua, we're not looking at all-day rain, but as I was showing you, Nicaragua, even over toward parts of Honduras, and as we get back toward Guatemala, that rain chance, even over toward El Salvador, the rain that comes could be very heavy and give us that chance of some flooding, even life-threatening flooding in some spots. Mexico City, isolated shower storm. Of course, watching Beryl moving into Mexico right now. 30% chance in Colombia the next few days, and about a 30 to 40% chance as we work our way into northern Venezuela, mainly on the dry side today in Bermuda. So, watching Beryl, we have another landfall moving right near Cozumel now, and then we'll see more of that north turn coming. It does look like it will re-strengthen. A higher chance this works its way into Texas as a landfalling hurricane on Monday, and I'm watching that tropical disturbance in the Caribbean bring in some areas of rain, and then that other tropical wave in the Atlantic. No signs of development, but I'll be watching that for the week ahead. So, thinking of you with the impacts on Beryl. Please leave your comments if you can. I'll be getting to those throughout the day. Just hope you're safe. Thank you for sharing this information. Please be safe and have a good rest of your day.